Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Drunk on Mana. We are Drunk on Mana. I am Tom. I am currently buzzed on mana. This is Owen. Say hi, Owen.
Hello.
Owen is moderately tipsy on mana. And we have Alicia. Hi, Alicia.
Hi.
On a
Hello.
scale of 1 to drunk on mana, how drunk on mana are you?
Probably one. Not
Not.
particularly.
Because mana doesn't...
Her mana to blood ratio is about 0.05 right now. It's all right.
She can walk the line, but just barely.
I'm the
Yeah.
designated driver.
And we also have Matt, who does not have video right now, so he's played by this picture of Matt. Say hi.
Isn't it stately? Look
Hi,
at him.
I'm a picture of Matt.
With this
Hello.
pulsating orb
I'm
around.
filling in for the actual Matt.
Wow,
This is our artificial Matt.
such Matt. Very
Beep,
picture.
boop, beep. I run off the clock.
You just have to do the whole cast like that. Just, Matt, what do you think? Beep, boop, beep. 001.
Binary
Generic
responses.
response not found.
So,
So,
if you are just
Yeah.
joining us for the first time, we previously hosted an audio podcast which ran from mid to late of 2013. I know our last one was Christmas, but we
Christmas.
gathered at... You will know that we started pretty much every episode off with a rando question, and about 5 minutes before this we agreed on it, and I still can't remember what one we agreed on.
Favorite secondary Game of Thrones character?
Favorite Game of Thrones character that's not Tyrion.
Not Tyrion Lannister, yeah.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
I think I should go first because I'm really fuzzy on names and it'll take forever.
Okay, I like the blonde. Okay,
I like my favorite character, and I can't think of her name. She was. It's not even called the Flower Kingdom, is it? Oh,
okay, it's
Marjorie.
Marjorie
Yes.
Tyrell.
Marjorie Tyrell.
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yes.
Right on.
And she was the homosexual guys, and she was the wife who was actually very understanding. And then she's just so freaking. Just so coy about everything. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
And she's super freaking cute.
Not just the character, the actress that plays her too.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with.
Natalie Dormer. Like a goddess. She's
Mm-hmm.
If you check my Tumblr on any average day, it's a pretty decent amount of
pictures. Over and over again.
Probably not my favorite character, but definitely way up there is Marjorie's mother.
Oh yeah.
She's
awesome.
for a lot of different reasons, but primarily because she's played
Olenna Tyrell.
by she's played by Diana Rigg. Look up
Yep,
Diana
from-
Rigg, circa mid 1960s, late 1960s.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Yes,
She's very, very crafty.
yeah. The character, the actress, it's the same thing. It's like the whole package is just like every time I see her on screen, that scene. There's that one moment. Matt, you're at season 3, right?
Indeed.
There is, I don't think I'm spoiling anything. There is a moment where she and Tywin have a conversation,
Oh,
and it's just this like they're evenly matched, and it's so cool because no one
and
has.
talk. It's just
Oh yeah.
a screen. It's
Yeah, I
always-
remember that.
So yeah, besides that, probably gonna pick maybe who I can assume Alicia might pick. So I'm gonna let her go unless I'm wrong.
Okay, well, we'll see how wrong you were. I don't know if you would count as a main character, probably not. Well, Oberon? Oberon? It's Oberon, yeah.
Call
Well,
it.
Would be. He's kind of my spirit animal. I love him so much.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
He's like just the coolest of cool. And I was so sad. But no spoilers. No
You're not
spoilers.
spoiling anything. The internet exploded. There was no running away from that spam.
Yeah, that's the problem. I have such a huge issue with Facebook because, like, I don't dare go near it. If I've been watching any Game of Thrones at all, I just. Ugh.
It's made me that, like, no matter what I'm doing on a Sunday night, it's like, stop everything. I have to watch it. I've watched it in hotel rooms. I have watched it like the strangest places because it's like I know Monday when I go on the internet, it's just going to be like, wow, can you believe?
Yeah. But if not him, I actually really love the Hound.
Yeah, actually.
He's probably my close second.
Pretty much the entire relationship of him and Arya. It's like one of my favorite elements of season 4, and that little bit it's in season 3, I think.
Yeah. Does Serial Pharrell count too? Can I count him?
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Okay. Those are my 3.
Yes, those 3 are my favorite character.
Yeah.
And O-Dog.
Yeah. Well, initially I was going to say Marjorie, but Matt took that one, so...
And then you were going to say Oberyn, but I took that one.
No, I wasn't going to say Ob. I like Oberyn, but he's not nearly my favorite.
Oh, he's so sexy.
He's wonderful. Sure,
You're a lady, so...
I saw it coming. I didn't get attached.
You're just like, you're cool, but you're gonna die.
Yeah, basically the surefire sign was, wow, you're a really enjoyable character and have pretty much no flaws.
Too cool for school and also life.
Game of Thrones. Jorah is probably... I love him.
Yeah, I really like him.
Which one's Jorah again?
He's Dany's cohort. Daenerys's like best
Sort
buddy.
of advisor.
Oh, him, yeah, I love him.
Khaleesi!
That's awesome.
He's like he far outclasses what's her face in acting too. Like he's so good.
Yeah,
Like-
it's funny because
You don't like Emilia Clarke?
No!
She's good. Just amazing. It's not really her fault. I just think you picked a too good an actor to put right next to her.
I have a Supergirl crush on Emilia Clarke, so...
You have a super regular crush on her.
Yeah, I have a Superman on Girl Crush.
Dora and Barristan Selmy.
Yeah, I was really glad to see the two of them in the same airspace. Like, I was like,
They are my favorite.
this is a cool... That whole moment when, even though it's the other actor that plays... shit, I can't remember his name now, but it's the 3 of them go into that city, and they and they have this like totally RPG like Baldur's Gate style face-off in the middle of Game of Thrones. I was like, this is like everything I love.
Bum bum ba da da bum.
Yeah. It was
Jory, please.
Jorah needs food badly. Can't carry anymore. Khaleesi.
Oh god. Oh my god. I hate that. That is literally the bane of my gaming existence.
Yeah.
That phrase.
I can say firsthand, if Alicia has like one gaming weakness, it's in encumbrance of her character.
Man.
Well, Alicia's
All
gonna
the
like
things.
Destiny then.
I have to have all the things.
So,
Destiny's gonna cure that of her, I think.
Matt,
Yeah.
it's really funny that you should mention Destiny.
Yeah.
Terrible segue.
Tom, if you don't want to do the segues, you don't have to. Please just stop pretending to be bad at them.
You're making it more painful than it needs to be.
Matt,
Just say, by the way, Matt wanted to talk about Destiny.
But by the way, Matt, why don't you just... Okay, no, for real though. Matt, tell us about Destiny. Let's hear about it, because I, being, again... should probably say this if this is the first episode of the thing we're doing. I am the diehard PC snob in the group, so...
You bastard!
Yeah,
okay, on to Destiny. We got that out of the way.
That said, I still don't know for sure... Oh wait, Owen, you told me that, or somebody told me that Destiny is coming to PC?
I think it is being launched on PC with the rest of them at the same time.
not in beta phase right now, the same way the rest of them are.
You don't need to beta PC games. Oh wait, now I'm being the snob.
So yeah, Matt, tell us about Destiny.
As I remember you saying when we were doing the audio podcast that you didn't like the words shared world shooter.
Yeah...
You didn't like the way they described that.
I don't know.
Well,
it's
now that I'm playing it,
pretentious is why.
I can explain now that I've played it.
So, what do they mean?
Activision and Blizzard are together, and now Activision and Bungie are together. What has happened because of that is that Destiny is basically Halo and World of Warcraft had a baby.
It sounds like the best baby.
That's my favorite thing.
It's really hard to describe because I'm running around and getting loot and trying to, you fight things, and sometimes you run into a cave and it's like, holy shit, these things are level 20, I'm going to fucking die.
Right.
So, in a sense, then, it does feel kind of like an MMO, where it's like, I am out of my zone right now.
Yeah. Well, for instance, the area that the beta's in, it only covers like a couple of areas. You don't get to go. I did get to go to the moon because there was a time from 2 p.m. From 2 p.m. to like 5 o'clock, they let players go to the moon. Like, here, have a mission. Go test this for us.
Please tell me that Peter Dinklage is there and he's saying, "Welcome to the moon."
Well, no, but I'm sure you guys heard about the wizard thing.
Oh, yeah.
They fixed it. They released an update. They made his voice more robotic, and I didn't get to hear the non-robotic.
Oh,
version.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure it's probably on YouTube somewhere. We should find that.
Yeah, we'll link
But
it
anyway.
in case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, which would be absurd. But basically, Peter Dinklage, who everybody loves with all their heart and soul for being Tyrion, voice acted this AI companion, correct?
Yeah,
in Destiny.
for the whole game.
For the entire game. And the initial reaction was, yes, hell yes, oh my gosh. And then when the alpha, yeah, his voice acting was pretty subpar. It was really monotone and, like...
Not good.
Just not good.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what the hell? It sounded really phoned in. And there's this one line that's just absolutely golden. And this is two things. This is Peter Dinklage giving kind of an iffy performance, but also just the writing. It's ridiculous. He's talking about something called a wizard, which I'm assuming isn't an actual man in a robe.
It's an actual enemy that you fight. When you aim at him, it says wizard. So it is a wizard. But like what he says,
The Hive haven't been on Earth in centuries. That wizard came from the moon.
He came from the moon.
That wizard came from the moon.
Thank you, Peter Dinklage. That was wonderful. Why are you in my house?
Well, it does. It sounds like the worst, like, B movie. Like, no.
Yeah. But no. Anyway, they fixed it, and all throughout the beta, it sounds, the monotone makes sense now. So it wasn't just a cop out them saying, it's not supposed to sound like that. That's because it's alpha. And I actually believe them now, because now that they've added the robotic sounding voice, it's brilliant.
So it
sounds right.
Is it like they gave it a GLaDOS treatment?
Better. He still talks like a human. He doesn't actually sound like a robot, but it's got an electronic tinge to it.
That's cool.
So now when you go into that cave and he says, there's a wizard here, you have to kill him, it's like, holy shit, this robot that's following me and telling me what to do used a word from a fantasy game. Am I in a sci-fi or am I in a fantasy? That's that point when they're basically telling you, we don't even know what this game is. Enjoy our mixed bag here we have.
That's really cool.
Kind of thing. And like when you go and you actually fight the wizard, he's shooting magic bolts at you, and you're just like, I'm gonna pull out my heavy assault rifle and kill this fucking wizard. It's so awesome.
That sounds like literally the kind of thing I'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh, that was just a dream.
Yeah.
Oh man.
My first playthrough, I played as a Titan, so I have the heavy machine guns. I'm wearing like all the armor and stuff. I'm basically Master Chief.
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah, that's basically what the Titan is. It's like the Spartans of the Destiny world.
That's cool though.
But it was just so. That was the moment when I was just like, it's the wizard,
It's the wizard.
He's the wizard, and the voiceover was actually very good, and I don't know, it's one of those things you have to take my word for until you get a chance to play it.
Well, for sure.
And luckily, we only have to wait a month.
We?
About
we?
Yes, we.
Do Tim's been messaging me. The other day, he started messaging me like in a flurry on Facebook, and he was just like, Lee! And I was like, what? And he was just like, Destiny is so good. And he just dumped a bunch of letters after that. I was like, oh.
Destiny R Flarg. Flarg Borglar.
It's just good. I don't like they're calling it mythic sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best way to put it, really, because the moment you start playing, you get this feeling that nothing is being said as this is purely technology. Nothing's being said this is purely magic.
That's cool, though, because that's sort of like an untapped market. I mean, it's in fiction it exists, but in a game of it being kind of like you get these hardwired genres. This is fantasy. This is following Dungeons and Dragons rules. This is sci-fi.
Yeah.
This is following Star Wars or Star Trek rules. So to have that, it's like that Venn diagram.
It's got its own rules.
That's cool.
They've rewritten the rule book.
So
so to speak.
Does this? I guess the question I keep coming back to though is, does this scratch the itch of an FPS or an MMO?
That's what everyone keeps asking, and Bungie will keep saying the same thing over and over again. Neither. It scratches its own itch.
Which you didn't know you were itchy for.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was originally saying. Oh, I lost my beta code. I'm not going to play the beta. And then Tim comes online and he's just like, "Hey, why aren't you playing the beta?" I'm just like, "Oh, I lost my beta code." And he said, "I have 3 beta codes." And I'm just like, "You get 3 beta codes?" And then he sent me a beta code, and it took 3 days to download. And then I'm sitting there in front of the TV like, "Yes, 99%, 99%," and then it finally downloaded. And
it is my destiny to play this.
Suddenly, you're just bombarded by this thing that is completely and utterly new.
That's cool, because that is so lacking. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but just there is nothing really new right now.
Yeah, but I should mention though that though the idea and the execution is very new, the story and everything like that. What isn't new is the gameplay feels a lot like Halo. But when it comes to your goals and what's keeping you driven to play, it feels a lot like World of Warcraft. So those things aren't very new.
Yeah.
But another thing that changes that up is the guns you're using are named and upgrade with you if you like them enough. If you love them enough, you can just keep them and they'll upgrade with you.
That's really cool. That's something I wish there was more of.
In the E3 footage, you guys saw Thunderlord, a heavy machine gun called Thunderlord that shoots lightning bullets. A gun that I got it's a sniper rifle, and it was called Calcutta. And the bullet, the special ability that had is a very basic gun. It wasn't even an uncommon, rarity, but it had an ability that the bullet was instantaneous. Like the bullet basically teleports to the person instead of taking time to travel.
Right.
So it's like you're basically shooting this thing that then spawns inside the person's skull.
Pretty much. And you can feel it too. I mean, now with the technology of the Xbox One, you can actually feel these special abilities. That was just one thing. And then that day that I got to go to the moon, I was just like, they're letting me I can go to the moon?
With my wizard?
Weird. They're calling you, like, you're fighting this thing called the Darkness, and you're called a Guardian, and then it's just like, I'm gonna hop in my spaceship and go fight the Darkness on the moon. I'm
gonna go fight these alien orcs.
Such a great mix of things.
That's super cool. So you're completely sold on it then?
For the most part, yes. There's some things where I'm still not, since we only got to play it for a couple days. The people who play the beta, we're not getting all that much of it. We're not sure if we're going to get tired of the patterns, and things like that.
Well, that's the downfall of being a WoW-based thing as well. Like, there are still the problems. You also inherit the problems of being an MMO-ish game.
Well, where it varies from WoW is really important, though. It's like in World of Warcraft, you initiate a fight with something, and then you have to do the correct pattern of abilities to win. in Destiny, it's direct skill that decides if you win, because it is a first-person shooter. You have to aim the gun. You have to. So it's not like WoW where it's all about stats. But there are times when it is about stats, like when I accidentally went into that cave with all the Hallowed Knights and they freaking killed me. And they killed my ass before I even had a chance to see what level they were. But it was that sort of same thing with World of Warcraft, where they had like a question mark level. Like I was so low level compared to them that it was just like, oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Well, there's yeah. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Luke.
Oh, I was just going to say, I remember when Destiny was originally sort of announced, I thought that it was really interesting that they were going to try to do sort of massive multiplayer instances where, like, you could just be doing your own thing and wandering around, and then all of a sudden it's like, here's a fucking war! And then you're suddenly, you know, surrounded by a bunch of other people who are fighting the same battle with you, and then you sort of all go your own separate ways.
Right.
Oh.
That really,
it's from what it sounded like, but I haven't played it.
That is basically what rolls in the whole thing. That's what appealed to me a lot about it, because I don't like playing with strangers for a lot of time.
Right.
So just being able to roll in, say, oh shit, here's this 40-foot tank monster thing, and then another 11 people jump in basically at the same
like,
time.
oh my god.
And they leave you alone, and you're like, alright.
Yeah. Like, I'm the same way with that, because I know with Titanfall, I remember I was initially like, whoa, this is gonna be awesome! And I was so excited, and then, like, I finally watched him play Titanfall, and when he explained to me that, like, you only play online, ever, I was like, that's bullshit.
You know,
like, it totally, like, I mean, the game is beautiful, and it's so much fun, but at the same time, like, I just don't play that way. I am not, like, a constantly...
You know, it's
online.
It's funny because I guess I wasn't when I bought Titanfall, I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew Titans Max. Yes, awesome. I want this. And as I started to realize that, oh my gosh, this is an always online thing, I put it in the same chunk of my brain that I put Team Fortress in, I put Counter-Strike and stuff like that, and I said, okay,
that's what I did too.
I'll play this game when I want to scratch that itch, because I do like that. I enjoy that kind of game. And I enjoy binging that kind of game for a weekend and then never playing it for like 3 months. And so it was sort of one of those games where it was like, oh, I wish I didn't spend $60 on this. I wish I spent $30 or something.
Right.
But also, I haven't spent any further money on Titanfall, where something like Team Fortress, I've probably easily spent about $100 on that. So,
yeah.
Little give and a little take there.
Yeah. But what I was leading into Destiny with when we were talking about Game of Thrones, and when you talked about being over encumbered,
Yes.
Destiny has solved that problem, and I'm like really impressed with it. The way they did it
It's looking at you, Alicia.
is that you don't get over encumbered. If you can't pick it up, you just don't.
Ever?
It tells you your helmet slots are full. And then you have to think about, oh, do I want a new helmet or am I happy with it?
I have this image of Alicia.
Don't get over
like,
encumbered.
I have this image of Alicia picking up like the in-game guns and saying, "I have slots in my helmet."
Yeah. Can I put the gun on my head?
And that's the thing that, like, I can sort of appreciate that now in games. I've been getting a little bit better about it, but man, I just, I like to have everything. I just want to have all the things, just in case. Like,
Well, the thing with,
I have 500 potions. I might need one someday.
That you will end the game with those 500 potions.
Yeah. Well, another thing they did though is that, say you are full on helms and you want the helm, you don't have to run to a vendor to sell stuff. Your ghost can just dismantle things into money right then and there on the battlefield.
That's hugely helpful.
And then you can pick up the helmet, and it's just like, thank you, Bungie, for solving this problem with sci-fi. Thank you for putting sci-fi in my fantasy.
And is it like you can, if you break down an item to sell it or whatever because you don't need it right now, is it able to be purchased later on? Like, just like if it's not like there's like, oh my god, this is a rare item, I just broke it because I needed space or something, and now I can never ever have it again. Yeah.
I haven't seen a buyback feature yet. It's just beta though. Someone's probably mentioned to it. I should send them a letter or something, being like, hey.
The hoarders in my group have something to say about this.
Yeah. See, when I dismantle an item, I'm just like gone forever. On to better items.
Yeah, I've gotten really into. I've sort of accepted my fate as okay. I've done that.
Yeah.
Speaking
of all of that, actually, the only game that I've been playing right now is Dark Souls, which is really
Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1.
I'm playing the first one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick up the second one this week. I just got sort of like games for gold. I hadn't actually played Dark Souls. And, I started to at one point. One of my friends was like, "You're gonna love it. You should try it. Here's the walkthrough book." I was like, "I don't need that." And so I started playing, and immediately, like in the first Dark Souls game, have any of you played it?
Yes.
Okay, so Owen will be able to understand.
Yeah. I'll detail my reasons later.
Yeah. So anyway, when you first start the game in Dark Souls 1, you're at this undead asylum and blah, 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 and the first thing that you come up against is this huge asylum troll thing. And it's like, it's a giant demon, and you just walk in and you have nothing. You have like a broken sword hilt. You're like, well, and I didn't realize that there was a door open further ahead to the left of the room. Mm-hmm. And so I kept going in there. I was like, they expect me to kill this thing? And so the very first time I ever played the game, I spent at least an hour trying to get past that room. And once I realized that I was just wasting my time and I could have just gone around it, I was so bullshit that I didn't touch it from then on. And so after I got it for free, I sort of started it and ran right by him because I remembered that I could do that. And the whole process of the game has been both... I think the coolest thing about Dark Souls is that it's infuriating, but you love it so much.
And
you hate it. And you love to hate it.
That's the selling point of Dark Souls, is that it's astoundingly difficult, but rewarding if you can wrap your head around the systems.
And I think the most frustrating part is that there's so much repetition. The game is really cool, and it's a lot of fun. And if anything, I've learned a lot about defending. I've always been the kind of person that's like, hack and slash, kill everything, blah. And then this game, it's like, if you do that, you're dead. There's no way. You have to know, if something's about to swing at you, you can't be like, well, I'll just hit it first, ha!
I'll just hit it
you're
more.
You're gonna try doing that, and it's gonna stab you and kill you.
Yeah.
You have to be like, he's getting ready to hit me, I need to hold up my shield and wait for a second. He hit me, okay, now I'll hit him. You actually have to think and be tactful about it.
So in a
which
sense,
has been a lot of fun.
It's almost like, and this is a weird comparison, but it's almost like the side-scrolling brawler of RPGs, where you actually have to be like, oh, block.
Yeah, you actually have to, make sure that you're defending yourself. Retreat is a great option all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, depending on how you play, I sort of immediately picked a thief. I picked a light, fast character, and I sort of played it that way. Piper and I started playing at the same time, and he opted to go, the giant tank route. He was like, I'm going to wear all the heaviest armor and all the heaviest things, and I'm going to smash everything with my giant Y-hander, and it's all going to die immediately. And, it worked perfectly for him. And then I try wearing heavy armor, and I'm like, I can't move! How do you... I try rolling, and my guy just hits the floor, and he's just like, I'll just sort of roll. I can't do that. My character's... it really does. It's really painful watching a heavily armored character roll in that game, because it's like... it's so bad. And then my characters are all sort of light, scimitar or, fast weapon wielding things. I made it to level 80 still wearing the black leather armor that I started with in the beginning of the game.
Wow.
Because everything else was too heavy. I was like, nope, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep dying. And, eventually I got some cooler stuff. We got the downloadable content for Artorias, but yeah, it's been a super fun game, and you can collect all the things, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you actually reach a point, though, where the way it stacks up in your inventory, especially if you're fighting in one area for a really long time, you're like, I have 40 spears! If you want to get to a new item to equip, you've got to, actually go through that pile of 40 spears to get to the new item that you're trying to use. And if you're in the middle of a fight and you're like, shit, where is that? I'd really like to equip it. There's no pause. That's the thing. You don't pause the game. It's constantly going, and you don't... I don't know. It's sort of constantly auto-saving. So if you do one thing, if you're like, I'm going to kill this guy just for the heck of it, you're going to regret it if you don't want to. Because then, it's kind of cool because you have to pay for you get repercussions,
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that you can't pause in this game is like an actual feature. Like, you don't think about like, oh, thank God I can pause in this. Like, I love games like, obviously, Dragon Age is my favorite game. And I'm so used to that whole pause play mechanic where it's like, okay, stop, think. It's not turn-based, but it's, maybe I should move this guy over here. I don't know. And you get that window of time to think about it. You get that window of time to strategize. And Dark Souls is more, I guess, an action RPG? ARPG?
Yeah, I mean, you're constantly going. There's no stopping. Like, even if you... Like, because they have this whole system where you can get invaded. Like, you have to collect humanity and make yourself human if you want to be able to summon somebody into your world to help you fight a crazy, stupid, hard boss. Or, anything like that. And if you're human and if you've sinned, like if you've killed an NPC or left a covenant or something like that without doing it properly, people can invade your world if you're human. They have their little book of the guilty and they're like, meh, 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 and you're just doing your own thing. Then all of a sudden it's like, Dark Souls, so-and-so is invaded. And you're like, the fuck? Like,
looks
and
like you made the naughty list.
You're like, I did not intend on doing this right now. I just used my last humanity to summon this guy to fight this boss and I'm dead. Great. I guess I'll go farm for more humanity. Like, it's... I don't know. I kind of like it and I kind of hate it at the same time.
But you're still playing it.
Yeah, I am still playing it a ton. Like, I think Piper's actually playing it in the other room right now. I can hear the noises.
Vaguely hear the sounds of dying.
Of rage. I mean, I think that, it takes a really long time to reach a point in the game where you can actually sell stuff. Like, they drop all this equipment and you can collect it all, and it doesn't really seem like there's any point in it for a long time. Eventually you can sell them to somebody and it, you get like 50 souls.
I think,
but that's like,
I think the big thing for me for Dark Souls that and the reason why I can't run it is, again, the PC problem. Fucking Games for Windows Live does not want to play nice with anybody, with anything, ever, and thank God it's dead. Do not rest in peace. Will not be remembered fondly. So unfortunately I can't play Dark Souls, but the big thing that's really, 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 really appealed to me is that online drop-in, drop-out multiplayer sort of thing. I've been playing, I just finished the bulk of Watch Dogs, and I love that. That's got the same thing. It's got this online, anyone can hack you at any time kind of thing. That's just so cool. It adds this real great element of terror where it's like, how come I can't start this mission? You're being hacked. From who? From where? Oh! And that's a feeling I've never gotten in a single-player game. I haven't really gotten it in a multiplayer game either, because unless you're playing something where you're like trying to sneak through a PvP area, which is really rare, you're either owned at the gates or not, it's that feeling of, I thought I was so safe. I thought I could just stand here and shuffle through my inventory.
God, it makes you so mad with Dark Souls, too, because like I said, the only time that you're really going to make yourself human is if you're going to summon somebody or if you're going to invade somebody's world or something like that. And if you're only making yourself human so that you can summon someone to help you in this boss fight, like the amount of time that it usually takes to get from a bonfire to a boss fight too is a pain in the ass. And then like you've got to go through all this shit to finally get there, and by the time you're there you're like, okay, I found someone, I'm summoning them, I'm going in. But like if in the time that it takes you to get there somebody invades you, you're just like, fuck! Like, I just spent 30 minutes getting myself all squared away and ready for this fight, and fuck.
After
now I have to
all of that, et tu, Solaire?
There were a couple times that I actually turned my wireless off so that people, wouldn't be able to follow me.
I do like in Watch Dogs, you can actually go into the settings and you can say disable the online thing, but I love that element. I love that never knowing if you're safe, because especially if someone does the Watch Dogs has a mode that's called online tailing, and basically what it consists of is someone hacks your game, or if you're doing it, you're hacking someone else's game, and you're supposed to literally tail them within a certain decent distance, surprisingly decent distance, but as long as I guess you can see them, it counts, and as long as they never see you, you're successful. You do it for a certain length of time, and it's terrifying because you think, like, Watch Dogs is the kind of game where I enjoy kind of being in that world. I kind of enjoy being in Chicago, and sometimes I will literally do the thing of, I'm just going to walk I'm gonna walk and soak in this area because this is a cool looking area. And then it's like, someone's probably watching me. And that paranoia, it plays in really well. I had some problems with Watch Dogs, but it plays in really well to the theme. Like 100% that theme. And it sort of sounds like Dark Souls does the same thing. It's like, you're never safe. You're never, ever, ever safe.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've played the game, you'll understand how ridiculous, like how many times you'll go through an area again and again and again and again and again and again. Like, until, like, I've reached a point where, like, my new characters, when I make them, I'm like, oh, I know this, you know, like, okay, guy left, ching, you know. But now, like, when I was first playing the game, I spent countless hours in the Undead Burg, like, and I just did not need to. But, I mean, Owen can probably relate, having played it. Like, you repeat everything. And you can wind up going to all these different areas. Like, the entire map is connected, which is really cool. You can get from one area to the next, to the next, to the next. Like, I mean, obviously you would be able to get from one area to the next, but like, just the way that there's shortcuts between a bunch of different spots. They're all from each other. Yeah, and like, you can wander off and be like, oh, I have a master key, what does this lead to? I'm in a Valley of Dragons and I'm level 1. And so, I mean, you can take down badass, huge characters. Like, there's an undead dragon right there in the Valley of the Drakes that you sort of, it's one of the first places I accidentally went. And if you know, I was like, fire bombs! I was like, oh, I'm out of fire bombs. I need to go buy more fire bombs! Like, you know, you can sort of do it cheaply if you're not ready for it, and
or
get your way through
in a sense, I guess that means you can also really prepare yourself, because you can, like, be like, oh, I'm going to need to address that.
Yeah, once you've learned the map, too, like, you'll know, like, okay, well, if I run through here and just head straight down to this area, I can get this bow, and that'll give me a good thing to start off with. And then I can continue from there.
Cool.
Like, once you've gotten the hang of it, it's actually more fun to play, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
At least for me. Like, I sort of, once I've learned everything, I'm like, oh, now I want to play it and kick everything's ass to show it how much I hate it.
So,
like,
basically, the bottom line for you is that once you get past that first, like, real life week, you're able to kind of, you want to keep coming back, basically.
Yeah, like, it's the one game that I've been playing, like, every single day.
Yeah.
Like, I have a couple characters, and I just sort of continuously hash through it. I'm having a hard time not playing the same exact way each time. I almost always wind up being a light armor wearer. And, you know, I tried making a pyromancer, which is pretty cool. I really like him, but, you know, again, just sort of, I was like, well, I guess I'll just keep wearing leather armor. Like,
that was my problem.
Now that I'm used to moving quickly, I can't possibly move slowly. If I ever try to play Piper's character, I'm like, how do you do anything? Like,
that was my problem with Skyrim, was I made one character and I was trying to specialize in everything, and then I eventually hit a point where I was like, it doesn't make sense that my wood elf would be specializing in two-handed great hammers. So I'm going to try and make a strong character, a buff character, and I just was doing all the same stuff, and it's hard to break that habit when you have a character archetype that you like so much.
Yeah. I mean, you found something that finally works. Like, oh, what has your experience been with Dark Souls? Like, you must understand the rage.
Yeah. No, I mean, I played. Oh shit! Like crap! Oh god! Oh god!
And that's how Dark Souls makes you feel.
Dark Souls. It's like a leg cramp.
Perfectly summed up.
Oh god!
Dark Souls is a leg cramp.
Oh my god!
My first. Yes. You okay, Owen, or should I fill in while you get better?
Matt!
Great space.
Good. No, Dark Souls, I've only played a little bit of. I played more Demon Souls, which was the prequel that was initially PS3, I think. Demon Souls was really hard too. And I don't like hard games, so I didn't really play a lot of it, but I watched my other friend Matt, not this Matt, but
the other Matt.
Yeah, the other Matt.
Matt 2.
Well, he played it religiously because he's a sucker for like abuse with games and shit. So it was like you were saying, just going through the same zone 100 times, just clearing and clearing.
It's not fun to watch someone play. Because you're like, what? You just did this 20 times. You're going to do it 20 more times? You're like, I need the souls. Like,
or you just progress a little bit further each time, learning what's there, and you die. And you have to go all the way back through everything you just killed, get your shit up, and then move another 12 feet and die again, and do it all over again.
And then you make the mistake of becoming a little too confident. You're like, I know what I'm doing this time around. And so you, like, rush through, and then all of a sudden you're dead even faster.
Blindsided by
you're more deader than before.
Through the laser from across the map that you don't know.
Yeah. So that's...
I never got addicted to it the way anybody else has, because Tim...
Oh my god.
Love it. You apparently... I couldn't get it.
I can't stop. It's... You know, everybody's like, play it, you should play it, it's great. And then I started, and then I hated it, and then I started it again, and I still hate it, and I love it, and I hate it, and I love it, and I hate it.
Dark Souls is a bad relationship.
It really is. It's an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Owen Fogg,
Uh,
what kind of video games have you been experiencing with your eye holes?
and my... Dude, not just my eye holes. And 2 of my senses. I've been playing... Today, I beat the first chapter of the first... Where is it? First episode? However it goes, the first portion of the first season. That's what it is. The first chapter of the first season of Walking Dead. Which was really good. I played all of Wolf Among Us, which the last episode came out like
big fans of Wolf Among Us in this.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil anything in either, I don't think, but I loved Wolf Among Us a lot. Like, so much so that I went and picked up all of Fables, which is the comic that it's based off of, and have read all of them in that time. And they're amazing.
That's an impressive number of comics.
141 issues as of now. It's ending at 150. So I've read all of them, and they're amazing. And it just gives me so much more depth into the story, because I know a lot more about what Bigby's about, because the comics really do focus a lot on Bigby for many, many arcs.
Does it change how you feel you played your character? Do you feel like you were maximum Bigby?
Pretty much it was, I played a decent guy. Like, Bigby is the big bad wolf. Like, that's his deal. And he goes, for most of the story, he just kind of does his job as sheriff of Fabletown. And he tries to do what he can, and tries to be a half-decent dude and not be a jackass to everybody. Just kind of to try and get by, because everybody expects him to act like a giant monster, because that's what he used to be before he came to...
Right. And that was weird for me, because I went in sort of, I guess, expecting a little bit more freedom, but I was okay that I didn't have that in shaping the character. It's like, you basically, are you mildly pissed or majorly pissed? Like, and that was okay, because then I was like, okay, this is the kind of guy I'm playing. I'm fine.
That's how, like, he won't take the softest course to complete something. He will get it done in the most entertaining way possible. He's he's a deeper character than a lot of people probably. Without reading the comics, he wouldn't understand a lot of the stuff that he's going through. But having that background and having all of his stories that I've read, it just gave me so much more insight to what he would do in a lot of the situations. Like, he's trying to interrogate a guy about the murder that happens. And he's trying to interrogate him, and the guy's giving him absolutely nothing. And it's just... And Bigby can smell through bullshit in like a minute. So he's not going to bother beating around the bush trying to talk the guy into his stuff. He's going to start smashing his shit. Which kind of how I played it, because I was just like, no, Bigby doesn't have time for your nonsense. Right. Something happened, and you need to get to the bottom of it right the fuck now, and you're not doing anything to help. So
in that sense, it's like the ultimate role-playing experience, because you're like, this is how he deals.
I'm not playing as myself in the game, but I'm playing to a character that I know intimately.
And that was something I would love to do a full playthrough again. And do it now that I know Bigby. I feel like I know Bigby. I would love to do a playthrough as, okay, this is who they kind of want me to be. Let's see how that goes.
Whereas a lot of people would play it just always straight edge answers to always doing the best good guy thing that you do, and that's not how a good character would behave in the first place.
I like his conflict.
You get to evolve and change as the story progresses, which is really cool. Whereas with The Walking Dead, which I've had forever, but I just finished the first chapter today, it's really good, and it's done by Telltale, who did Wolf Among Us, and there are a couple characters from the TV show / comic that overlap. I've only met one of them so far, Glenn. So I knew he was going to be okay, so I wasn't worried about any interactions with him, because he was going to be fine.
What's the timeline?
What's the timeline?
The game versus the show?
Oh, it's roughly the same. He's still in Georgia, which is where the show takes place. And but it's not. I expected it to be the same because I had played previously, like probably 20 minutes of the first chapter of Walking Dead before I ever played Wolf Among Us. And it seemed to run about the same as Wolf. Like, it seemed to feel about the same type of gameplay, but it's a lot different considering it's using the same storytelling methods.
Right. There's a very signature style that Telltale has.
Right, where choosing your options of what you're going to say, and you're kind of just trying to... It's a point and click, basically. With some more moral options in the whole thing. But with The Walking Dead, it's you're not investigating anything. You're not trying to get to the bottom of anything. You're just trying not to die, and you're trying to keep Clementine alive, who is the normal little girl who you get to travel with, who you never want to disappoint. That's like, it feels so bad anytime you say, Clementine, we'll remember this, and you've done something. I mean, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
That's the thing. If there's anything that Telltale has instilled in me, it's that stupid little message in the corner of the screen that says, so and so will remember this. It's like, no. And I don't believe in like save scumming those games and going back and changing it. I'm like, no, I want to live with it.
One playthrough the way you do it, and then if you feel like it later, you go back and do it with the other decisions.
Right.
Like, I'm going to have 2 playthroughs of Wolf Among Us to get all of the content.
Yeah, I do need to do that, because there is stuff. It has this handy way of telling you with its little in-game guide of, like, there's a question mark in this. You haven't discovered this character or this location yet. And it's
We don't have any of that in Walking Dead at all. Just like, it just gives you the stats on how many people pick the same options for fixing stuff. But in Walking Dead, you play as Lee, and he's driving to he's getting driven to jail for reasons you find out later, and his story just becomes exponentially more complicated as the thing goes on. And it's really good story. You have a lot more characters to interact with all of the time than you do in Wolf, whereas Wolf you have like 5 people.
Right.
5 to like 8 people that you talk to the entire game, more or less.
And it's like very heavily focused, like this episode really only deals with these ones.
Right. But the first episode of the first season, there's like 9 or 12 people or something. There's like a crazy amount by comparison. It's like trying to keep everybody in order, and because you have to please so many people in order for them to do certain things for you, and it's just, you don't know whose opinion of you matters. Because you can be really endearing to this one guy, and then he got eaten by a zombie. Nothing you can do.
Well,
time. So it's kind of tough to figure out who to be true to other than Clementine. Because you and Clementine are going to continue your story. This is their story.
Right.
But it's just like, it's more about not dying and not being exposed for whatever you did to go to jail. I've only done the first chapter, so it's not a lot of content. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is I don't want to disappoint Clementine.
Well, I'm looking forward to knowing how the rest of it shapes up, because one of the things that Wolf had is the episodes were sort of like one was better than the other, kind of the quality. And they were all good. They were all really good. But it's like, especially, I think it was episode 3, was like this real standout of like, oh, I feel like I'm actually part of an investigation. I'm actually looking. It gives you like 3 choices, and you can only choose 2. And there's this sort of time limit thing. So if you get to one before another, someone may not be there that would have been the other time. And it's just like, there was this really cool like prying around in people's offices and things like that. That was fun. I liked that.
Yep. It's the Wolf Among Us is just so beautifully crafted, so good and convoluted, and they haven't announced a second one yet, but I really hope that they do.
They certainly...
There's time in between where it stops to where Fables starts, because it is... so there's a lot of wiggle room for stuff that they could do.
And they certainly set the stage in the last 30 seconds.
Major explosive, like mind-blowing cliffhanger that happens at the end that you're just like, what did that mean? What does that mean? What is everything? What did that mean? Oh God, my brain!
It was one of those games where I didn't, but I came so close to just wanting to start it all over, because I was like, this changes everything.
Now I need to pay closer attention to all of the things.
All of the things. And that's cool. That's sort of a testament to its noir stylings, is that in the very last second you think, oh my gosh, everything I've been paying attention to may not have been what I should be paying attention to. And that's cool. And I like that. So like I mentioned, I recently finished I finished the campaign of Watch Dogs, because like every single Ubisoft game, it's got 100,000,007 minigames in it. And I love them. I love minigames. I love being able to stop and play poker in a game. I love being able to have like little side missions and stuff like that. But like, tone it down a bit, man. This game has so many things. I'm just never going to complete them in my lifetime. I'm not even a 100%er kind of guy, and it's just, this is ridiculous. So much stuff.
Is it kind of like real life, where they have it going to Dunkin' Donuts to pick up coffee?
Basically, it's basically at that point, and you can make that. And okay, so Watch Dogs, like, when I first started playing it, I was just wowed by Chicago. I was like, this is a really well done in-game city. This is video game city. It's very alive. The hacking element is very... I mean, as you start to play more and more and more, and hours and hours and hours, you start to see things repeating. But that initial feeling of, like, you zoom in on someone and it says their name, their age, their occupation, how much money they have, it's like, all of a sudden this generic NPC has a backstory. And every NPC you see has a backstory. Even though it's obviously pulled from this sort of, I could guess, a list of things, it's a big list. And it's a lot of different stuff. So you see a guy and it's sort of like, some people you can hack their bank account and you can get a decent chunk of money. Like, that is a problem I have with the game, is I have a ridiculous amount of money. There was no challenge there. Or it'll have things that do actually make you stop and think. It'll be like, this person has $500,000. Wow, and AIDS. Oh. Should I?
Only fetish or something.
But then you sort of become desensitized to it and just like, I need this money. I'm going to buy a new sniper rifle. Yes. Awesome. And that was another thing. That's a good segue. The guns are, especially the grenade launcher, once you get that, you don't need anything else. And I was really excited to stealth through this game and to do, I'm going to hack that, and I'm going to blow this up, and it's going to distract this guy, and I'm going to sneak through. But you hit this point where it's just like, boop, boop. I win. And I don't know. I don't know if that's my fault, if that's game design fault. Like, if they didn't include guns, I certainly wouldn't have had that option. But I don't know. I had a bit of an issue with the themes of the game. The tonality of the game shifts like crazy. It starts being like... It starts off as what seems like it's going to be this really cool kind of hacker v hacker, spy v spy kind of thing. And then it becomes Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Like, especially when you start doing a lot of stuff in the South Side. And it's like they play, unfortunately, drastically into stereotypes, both with characters of different ethnicities, with women. It's like they play into the worst stereotype of every possible thing, the worst kind of trope that you can get into a game. And I was like, oh, yes, I will mow down all these guys to save this one girl who's a part of a sex slave trafficking ring.
Yeah,
you know,
it does sound very Grand Theft Auto.
And it sort of takes on elements of Taken, and not in really a good way. It sort of kind of just becomes this kind of half-baked Taken. And now I'm saying things against it because those are things that really stood out, but I had a lot of fun playing the game. I had a lot of fun with the hacking mechanic. I had a lot of fun when it worked. When all the pieces were right, it was a really fun game. But there were a lot of points where the pieces are wrong, and they were really wrong, you know? And as I mentioned before, the online is just like, I would buy a game for that feature alone. That is so much fun, the spy party thing that's going on, where it's like... Because what happens is when someone hacks your game, they take on the appearance of a generic NPC. And the only way you can tell that's a person is by using your phone and just, you know... Nope, that's my guy. And then it becomes this chase. Like, say he gets into a car, you get into a car, you could chase him across the whole map. And if he gets away from your perimeter, he wins. If you kill him, you win. He can't kill you, which is fun. Adds an interesting element. So he can't just snipe you and he's won. It's an instant loss for the other guy. So that mode is really fun. It's really cool. And I'd love to see more of that in games, although I don't know how it could... I guess they're sort of doing that with Far Cry 4. There's a co-op
Sounds like a hide and seek.
It is hide and seek. It's the most dangerous possible hide and seek.
Yeah.
But
seems to be a big...
It's actually really fun. And I did a lot of it on my own end, too, where I hack into someone else's game. And it's funny, because nobody knows when they're getting hacked until they spot you. So the sort of plus and minus is that when you hack someone's game, you get dropped in to their game a distance away from them, but there are parts of the game that are like big open fields and like really obviously unpopulated areas. So if they just are like, what's that NPC doing over there? But there was one point, there's this sort of gravel pit area. This kind of like mounds of gravel or something, and I dropped in, and there was just a guy on a dirt bike going over them. Just had nothing to do with anything in the game. He just was doing his own sweet stunts, and he was having such a great time that I didn't even want to hack him. I just sat and watched. Just in the middle of this gravel pit, this guy's like on his motorbike.
That's funny.
So but like I said earlier, that plays really well into the theme of it being this watchdog game, like this voyeuristic privacy invasion thing. I thought, oh my god, this guy is some person in his home at his computer screwing around, having a great time, probably just doesn't even know that there's a person right now watching him. And it was really, really unsettling.
From your point of view?
Yeah, probably from his
point
of view.
Or were you unsettled for him?
I was unsettled on his behalf.
Yeah.
But, again, it's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I think the story could have just used a lot more work. They could have probably even shipped the game with just the minigames, and it would have felt worth the value, because there is so freaking much. Would I recommend it? On sale? Don't buy it for retail yet. Wait for a Steam sale or an Xbox sale or whatever. it's
whatever those crazy Xbox things.
Whatever your little console kids play with. No, it's it's fun for the multiplayer. Maybe it's a rent. Rent it, play some of that online multiplayer, get that thrill, and then okay. Thanks, GameFly. So
Redbox, I prefer.
Redbox.
Yep.
So that's probably it. That's all I can really say on Watch Dogs.
Okay, so that's probably the end of this business then.
So, we are exhausted and we are drunk on mana, and this has been a fun experiment. I feel pretty good about this. We'll see how this shapes up. I'll be putting this out on YouTube and whatever, and onto our website, which is drunkonmana.com. I think we still have the URL. I'll find out. .com. And it will be on our Facebook, and I'll put it out on Twitter and wherever else you crazy kids find your interactive media. And, thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys with the next one.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.